It's an area off of 230th Street. It is currently zoned ag residential for that area. It's gonna be a 14 lot subdivision. It does already have a few homes, I believe, being constructed in it for there. So as far as county's land use plan, I mean, it's in a mix of residential already. It's in an area where we've foreseen more housing to come.
What's that?
I X that lot. That lot is not included in when you look at your other drawing.
Oh,
Not
right there.
right.
So it'll be added in or not?
It's not it.
It's not in here.
So this will be the first step for the county on this. Just so you're all aware, they'll do the urban renewal plan, and then they will enter into a developers agreement with the developers. That'll be negotiated out with the developers and board of supervisors on there. This urban renewal area does say that it's the description of use of the TIF would be the payments would not to exceed $389,000. There is an LMI, that's a low to moderate income holdback on that. And in Mills County, it appears that it's around 36% of that amount. So that equates to the 141,752. $12,000 in legal and administrative fees. So that would bring your total amount up to $550,752. So the LMI holdback has to be, they'll use that for, they can potentially use it in this, but you wouldn't see it being used in this subdivision. It would be used for projects in other rural areas and or in one of the incorporated towns. But on page 5 of that, it does offer a list of 7 deals that you can use the LMI for. It can be used for an owner or renter occupied housing rehabilitation. It can be used for grants, credits, or other direct assistance to LMI families, home ownership assistance, tenant-based rental assistance, down payment assistance, mortgage interest buy down assistance, and infrastructure development.
Matt, since I've been on this board, I don't think we've addressed this before, except maybe at Woodfield, potentially. So this is somewhat new to this board to see this type of TIF. Do you agree with that? So I think the last time we've addressed it potentially was Woodfield, but I can't guarantee that either. So this board would be uneducated somewhat on the TIF and how the procedures work.
Okay.
Just so you're aware.
Right. So kind of we'll start back more towards the beginning of what it would be. And so the developers would come and approach the county board and ask to say, hey, we want to, we're going to do a development in this area and make sure that of course ahead of time they're going to make sure it aligns with the land use plan, and that's what they want to do, and or they would adjust them. They would come in and ask for an adjustment to the land use plan ahead of time. In this instance, obviously aligned with the land use plan. So we're going to do a development here. We feel they'll go to the engineers, and the engineers will give them an estimated construction cost of what it's going to take to get the infrastructure put into that area. And I would assume that it's $389,000 that they're asking for back in there. So when they look at those costs, you're looking at potentially what the site grading costs, site grading, site clearing, what the road costs, potentially what the power costs. You could also throw in any type of public improvements, right? So if you got stormwater improvements on there, if you have a water line that runs around there, you can put those costs in there. All of those costs get lumped together into that sum of what would that $389,000 in this instance be for that. And then so then we go to our TIF attorneys and we say, hey, we have an opportunity to potentially TIF this area. So they prepare all the documents for us, right? And they basically send us a step-by-step guide on, you need to take this step at this time. And then it goes right on down the line. So the urban renewal plan, establishing an urban renewal area is your first step in that. And that's what this urban renewal plan is tonight. So that urban renewal plan lists out the legal description. Sometimes they contain a map of them as well to say, this is the exact area of what the urban renewal plan is going to be. So what that does is that helps establish what your base of your tax is in that area right now. So all of what that is has a taxable value to it, right? And you, on the developer side of it, you hope that it's right now you want it to be somewhat fairly low. So you get that done, that establishes what your base is going to be. So then the county will always get whatever that base tax amount is. Yes. Yeah, that base tax amount comes in, right? That's always going to be there. So your TIF amount then is from your base to what you've assumed your value is going to go to by building those 14 homes. And that's how they get their payback on it. So that's like the incentive for the developer to, because you're not getting any money unless you build houses and you sell houses and they start paying property taxes back, right? The county's still getting its original amount of money. Nothing has changed. Developer wants their payments back. Well, they got to build and sell houses or sell lots to people who are going to build houses. And a lot of times you'll see if they do sell the lots, they're going to put a time frame on it. Like, hey, you got to start construction within, a year to 18 months. If you don't start construction within a year to 18 months, we got a buyback clause on it. We're going to buy that lot back and we're going to either sell to somebody who will build or will build a house on it. All of those details get worked out in the developer's agreement aspect of it. How that repayment plan is going to work back to the developers. And that will go through the board of supervisors. Everybody will agree to it, sign off on it. I'm sure it's in negotiation right now with the attorneys, or maybe it is already kind of being finalized out where the attorneys will send that final draft to it. But that outlines, what's going to be exactly what's being held back for LMI, exactly how much is going to go back, and it kind of provides a schedule of what it's going to be. So then as those property taxes start coming back in at a higher rate, as soon as it hits the auditor's office, they know that, and it starts rolling into that TIF amount. But you have to certify that debt every year. And so that's where those figures come in, right? The Hughes in this case are going to provide, this is what they're going to give you the actuals. This is what we actually spent on this. So that debt amount gets certified. We can't look at it and say, well, we think that we're going to generate $6 million on it or something and say we're going to hold that amount. You have to have those actual debt amounts in there. So then that pays that back to it and kind of gives a stopping point to it to say, okay, we've now collected all of our TIF funds. Now it's just going to go back into your regular tax accounts in the county, your general levy, your rural levy. But it'll always be just that extra portion because you're still getting your base taxes are constantly going yearly into those accounts. It's just that above board number will go into. And it is on a clock too. So when you're TIFing residential, it's a little bit different than if you're TIFing commercial or industrial. So you start with a 10-year clock on it. And even on some of the larger developments, you'll see where you'll do phases of it, phase 1, and it'll start on such and such date for that area, which is fine, but so that clock, your longest time period for tax collection into the TIF is going to be your phase 1. Because so your phase 1 might run through year 2, and then year 2, phase 2 starts. Well, then you only got 8 years that you could potentially collect on phase 2. So everything is going to stop at that 10 years. They can come back in and you can ask for an extension to that. But, everybody right now in all the municipalities, whether it's a town or the counties, everybody's really watching what the state house is doing with TIFs because they're talking about it. They're talking about it again. It's scary. It's kind of scary for us every time they get into it because it's one of our biggest tools that we have to be able to get developments to
To
happen.
grow.
Yes, to grow. We have to have this tool. We don't want the state to take it away from us. They've already cut back on their other economic development. Whether it was the, what do they call it, like high paying jobs or something like that, high skilled jobs. They cut out all those pieces of it. And so they've really whittled down what we have. TIF is like our last stronghold that we have to be able to do these things, to help these developers to make sure we can grow our tax bases and have things happen. So, because I think just about any developer would tell you, you don't necessarily make a lot of money on the development itself. They need this TIF to be able to make it financially feasible to have this happen, because your infrastructure costs are doing nothing but going up and up. So back to where we are tonight, then that's kind of the full story of it. They have to build houses in order to get any repayments back, get them on the tax rolls. County will always get whatever tax base is coming in from that right now. Step one of that is we establish the urban renewal plan. We make sure this conforms with the land use plan that we have in place right now. And so for you all, you can offer comments to it, or and or let me see. You go back to Amy's one real quick.
So this has, this was a tip back, this is now.
Right, we're
Yes. Yeah. So then. The houses, I mean, I've driven out there for beautiful homes out there. So those homes that are already constructed, then they're not in the trust.
they will be. It's going to depend on when the date at which that base gets established. So if they could be under, yeah, they could be under construction right now, but if they haven't been assessed to those properties right now, when the base gets established, then they will be included into the TIF. If there's a base, right, what's above. So if they've already got, if the assessor's already been out there, they already has taxes assessed to them, then it won't be. If they've already had the taxes assessed to them, because they will be included in the base of what it is right now. Right.
Just what they go above. So give me a scenario. So $600,000 house. It's already constructed.
It's already constructed, and say you're paying $8,000 a year on taxes on that, right? That $8,000 a year continues to just come to the county as it normally has. It goes to the county, it goes to the schools, everybody that it gets divided out to, it will go to them.
That's the freezing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the freezing.
So you go above and beyond that, then that's what's gonna get rolled into.
That'll get rolled into.
Yeah, any of those new houses, your neighbors build, the next lot next door to you, they build. Yeah, they'll build a new house. The assessor comes out and says, hey, the tax is gonna be $8,000. Well, that $8,000 is gonna go into the TIF. It's not gonna go into the base, because the base is already set.
If they don't build any more houses, Mark's the GM or business development, commercial business development is responsible for all of it.
Right. Yeah, the only way they get paid back is by building and selling, by building the houses and getting them on the tax rolls. That's how you get your TIF money back. Yep.
Matt, does this only include new infrastructure that's done?
Right.
From that base point date going forward? It doesn't include any infrastructure that's already been put in?
No, it's gonna be that infrastructure that's already there.
Okay.
Because they go in and they go in and they have to front, yeah, you have to put the cost up
I
front.
just wanted to get clarification.
How many are completed? Did you say, Mark? How many are completely done?
Four sold.
Or moved into.
Four.
Or moved into.
Sold.
Complete sold. Okay.
Keep forgetting about Davis. I don't know if Davis has any questions on
Oh,
Yeah, Davis, if you have any questions or anything, just unmute yourself anytime. Let us know what you're thinking.
Will do. Thank you.
Davis have a draft? Okay.
my understanding, we don't have, this isn't something that we have to.
As long as it,
We're just making recommendations.
Yeah, there's,
So,
this is with supervisors and then they.
so Matt, what was your recommendation again, that where that 3 point, that's how we have to do it, basically followed, and then the rest of it would fall into that.
Yeah, this is all in conformance with everyone I've seen before.
Everything,
Mhm.
we just need to start.
Yeah. So we just basically so we need somebody to make a motion to recommend to the board.
You can say, yes, this conforms with the Mills County. land use plan.
Anybody have anything they want to discuss about this?
Is there public comment or no public comment?
This, no public comment at this one.
Okay,
And when it goes to the Board of Supervisors, there will be.
sure. Well, I'm gonna abstain from this due to my brother Mark being involved, so I guess I can answer a question or help with anything, but I will stay out of the way here, so however you guys handle it.
So would it been, would it have been better if this had been just in the very beginning, that we would have had the money off the others, too, right?
It could, I mean, it could have been one that at the time they weren't even, you know, that they just didn't come in and needed or wanted or.
And they get it pretty quickly, or they've already applied for all this, so it's gonna happen pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna go to the Board of Supervisors on October 28th, and I imagine the development agreement will follow shortly after that.
Is everybody in agreement to move forward with this and have the board?
Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah.
But it'd be great, like you said, if somebody wants to make that motion.
Does anybody want to make a motion that this thing moves forward?
I will make a motion to move this forward to the board of supervisors.
Somebody second?
I'll second it.
All three. Aye.
Aye.
Just note that I.
Got it.
Let's do a roll call.
Motion carries. Move on to the board of supervisors. Fingers in there, Lonnie. Madam, you here to see us?
Yeah.
That was my question too, is when it gets frozen, it's when, that's not.
That's hard.
I'm not perfect, so I can't be involved in it, but it froze from the beginning. Was it froze from the house that was sold, and then,
You know, Amy Bjork from Dorsey Whitney, she's gonna be helping me with that question.
But we have to follow that.
absolutely,
Yeah, we all lose.
So if it's to be closed, but
Yes.
What
That's why you,
existing.
you know, there's
can do,
kind of two different law firms. that
I would
do
motion to adjourn the meeting.
yeah.
They're one of the best ones that want to make sure.
emoji?
Oh, just one second. I have one more thing for you. So at our last commission meeting, we talked a bit about accessory dwellings and that change that was done and how Mills County already has 2-family residential listed out in their code. You had brought up the fact that you thought Mills County had written out mobile homes or single wide from being put on there. And so I've been reviewing through the code again, just to make sure it does look like, so manufactured homes, manufactured modular homes could be a single wide or it could be a double wide. It's the code section's written like a lot of other counties in the state where it's got to be converted into real estate, right? You can't use anything the pre-HUD days. Those are written off. You can't even touch them. But if you have a modular or manufactured home, from what I read in here, as long as you set it on a permanent foundation, then and remove the axles and the tongue, it's fine to be set on there. And could potentially be utilized as an ADU when these code changes go through. Mobile homes are also listed out in Mills County, and that's on a foundation. Yes, on a permanent foundation conversion. Yes, as long as it's set on a permanent foundation. So-
Modular is a stick built, so that's not the same as.
Right. Then the mobile homes, if you wanna leave the axle and you're gonna leave the tongue on them, then they're to be placed in mobile home parks on them. But, cause if you're looking strictly on like the building code aspect side of things. You know, the tiny home craze that you have, your minimum house that 270 square feet, when you add up all the livable areas that you need. You have to have this base of 270 square feet to consider it what a dwelling would potentially be.
270 square feet,
I thought it was more than that.
so 10 by 27.
Right. When you start looking at the space needed for your eating, your space for sleeping and sanitary, those minimum spaces, when you add them up, it's 270 square feet.
Because when we passed the ordinance back in the day, Steve Boomer came in. And he was replacing his single wide.
Yeah.
And he was just furious that we zoned him out of being able to put in a single wide. Now, with your definition, Matt, you're saying, and maybe his definition, your definition was, maybe it was interpreted differently than how you're interpreting it, but he had to go to a double wide to put his house back in. And they wouldn't allow him to do the single wide back in Boomer Hollow back in the day. So
And I don't know if he was trying to put the skirting around it or
it was,
He was trying to replace it, but the previous administration, before I got there, took the square footage of a single mobile,
out of the outlaw.
made it bigger than what the single wide is, so it had to be a double. They sold them out, and that was.
Because maybe they're 8 foot.
so maybe we're looking more of what somewhere in there, if they got a minimum square footage. or
There's a
something
size requirement in
written
the
in there.
ordinance that either is or was changed.
Maybe I
I
gotta
tell you today, he's glad that
Yeah.
the law was in place because he would like to have a little more space in his place, you know.
This is 320.
Did you see that?
What?
This one listed 320 in this.
I was thinking it was
Am I
more
reading
than
that
that. He would.
So
Body feet or more in length,
Yeah, 320 or more square feet.
Square feet. Square feet.
Built on a permanent chassis or designed to be used as a dwelling without permanent foundation.
That would
I thought we said you could not replace with the
the
single.
previous supervisor said, we don't want this.
I just remember that. I haven't read what you're reading, but I do remember it was a scuttle.
And then along with that code section, I provided you just a draft of what the accessory dwelling unit ordinance will look like. And that ordinance will go to the Board of Supervisors for their changes based on the state law change. I've been working with the auditor to make sure I'm gonna get everything. So it'll be sometime in November when that part goes to the Board of Supervisors. And it's gonna add a definition of what an ADU, accessory dwelling unit is. And then it's going to change the use matrix table for two-family residential, to where right now, two-family residential is marked out as conditional use, where they'd have to go to the zoning board of adjustment and get a conditional use permit in order to be able to do it. And just based on that state law change, it has to be a principal use.
Yeah.
So we'll change that conditional to principal use. Well, I have for you on that.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned, yes.
Second. You did me.
Yeah.
You're on the record.
Davis, thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
yes, thanks for having me. Audra, could you send me a email that map that was handed out?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Davis.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye.